Right. Yeah. I mean, self-governance isn't a spectator sport. And I think it's much easier to bring attention to maybe some really large issues that are happening or some crazy ideas that are coming out of the Golden Dome or the district before they're implemented, right? It's much easier to shut them down before they trickle down to you. And unfortunately, I think so many times parents will turn around and they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What changed? And they don't even know where it originated from. And so if we could maybe, like I said, bridge that gap where parents feel removed and surprised, but could be a little bit more proactive and informed, I think that's going to be ideal. Welcome to Learning Curve. My name is Erin Brantley. We are here to talk education policy for real people. I am your regular parent, a mom who's navigating the public school system in Colorado, and I am here with my co-host, who is the policy genius on all things education.
Policy genius is a nice way to put it. I'm really more of a professional policy nerd, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. So what we're going to do here and what we hope to bring you guys is some value related to education policy, the nitty gritty, whether it's state level, district policy in your schools. Obviously, right now we have an active legislative session going on. So we'll cover things when those are in session and what's coming out of the Golden Dome. But really what I want to do is I want parents to feel more informed and a little less removed from the process. And so they don't feel as helpless. And I think they're going to be more likely to get involved if they feel like they understand what's actually going on, or where does funding come from, or where do these decisions happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have kind of entered this realm in education where you have more parents than ever who are involved in education and paying attention to education. And at the same time, education policy is more complicated than it's ever been. So every year, our friends at the legislature layer on dozens more laws, and they get stacked on thousands of pages of existing laws. The state board makes changes, the Department of Education makes changes, the feds make changes, and all of those things eventually trickle down into a policy environment that matters to wonks and policy professionals and lobbyists and folks who live in the political world. But really, they matter to real people and to families. And those things eventually, even though we can forget sometimes, I think in the ivory tower, they impact what school and what education looks like for real families. And it's really never been more important for folks to understand how those policy changes trickle down to them.
Correct. I think things like school choice, right? That's super important in Colorado. What benefits are there for charter school versus public school? Or if you have an issue within your school, is that something that came from the state or did it come from the district? And understanding that nuance and just the muddiness of policy, because you live in it. And so I can imagine I'm removed from it. I try to understand what I can, but I think if we have someone like you who can break it down into layman's terms and people can understand, hey, this is what I need to pay attention to, or this is what happened, and this is what I could see happening in my school with my child directly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is a lot to be said for sort of being able to break these things down into bite-sized chunks for folks to understand, not just because it's good to understand things, which is good, but also so, as you said, they have a chance to go plug in where they should, right? It could be that the issue you're facing is a school board level issue, which means you need to be talking to your school board or the district. It might be a state level issue, in which case you need to be talking to maybe your legislator, maybe a state board member, maybe somebody at the department. But if you don't know where to start, then it's really hard to get engaged. And if you don't get engaged, then policymakers do whatever they want to do. And if the last, let's say, 100 years of American education have taught us anything, it's that we don't want that. You don't want those guys running around without a close eye on them and a little bit of a leash.
Right. Yeah. I mean, self-governance isn't a spectator sport. And I think it's much easier to bring attention to maybe some really large issues that are happening or some crazy ideas that are coming out of the Golden Dome or the district before they're implemented, right? It's much easier to shut them down before they trickle down to you. And unfortunately, I think so many times parents will turn around and they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What changed? And they don't even know where it originated from. And so if we could maybe, like I said, bridge that gap where parents feel removed and surprised, but could be a little bit more proactive and informed, I think that's going to be ideal. So what kind of legislation bills do you foresee us covering and discussing?
I think we'll cover everything, to be honest with you. I mean, I think any given year in Colorado, you have bills related to school choice, which can mean a million different things, right? They could be charter schools on the public school side, open enrollment. It could be private schools. It could be tax credits. It can be homeschool enrichment. I mean, we're not going to run out of anything to talk about there. But then you have issues related to school finance and how schools get funded. You have issues related to the teachers' unions and how they interact. You have political issues related to school board elections and what's going on in various local school districts. You've got litigation and court stuff because people are always suing each other in education. And then you have the interplay between the state and the federal government. And so I would foresee, honestly, in any given week, you've got all of those things happening at once. Sometimes it's more impactful, sometimes it's less, but I don't think we're going to be bored.
No, and things are moving so quickly in today's environment, and information is everywhere. Each week there's a different scandal or new topic, it seems, on social media, or there might be something coming out of a district in Colorado, which we want to hear from you all. We want to engage with whatever topics you're seeing that you're concerned about, so we'll take show ideas, info@learningcurveco.org. And yeah, is there anything else you want to kind of touch on as far as hopefully what we can offer? Again, I'm just a political activist, concerned mom, not as familiar with the inner workings of education policy. Hopefully here to learn more, just like you all. And so I'm super grateful that you're here to bring the knowledge base.
It's just because you don't know me that well yet. Don't worry. I wonder if maybe it would make some sense for us to just introduce ourselves briefly. A lot of folks I don't know how many education podcasts there are, but there are a lot of podcasts to pick from. And if you're a parent out there or just an interested party who's paying attention to education, you might wonder why you ought to spend your time listening to me and you rap about education policy. So maybe we could run through that.
Sure. Once again, my name's Erin. I'm a fourth generation Coloradan. I have my children in a charter school here in Colorado. I've already had some situations just as a parent navigating the school system that I've had concerns about. And I'm a political activist. I love to nerd out on learning about legislation and bills, but there's also a lot of things I don't know. I think it's important to, like I said, break this down to layman's terms where it's a little bit more, it's easier to consume. And you guys will feel more informed. And so I'm hopeful, having the two different approaches to these conversations will help ultimately bring it all together nicely rounded. And again, it's not going to be just spewing policy talk the entire time, hopefully, and we can make it as entertaining as we possibly can with policy. But again, I want you all to feel informed as parents and even as Coloradans or concerned citizens, as far as if you need to go to the school board with something, if you're not sure where this change came from, you'll know that you have a resource here to reference back to or to move forward as potentially you becoming your own little activist in the education realm.
Yeah, on my side, so Ross Izard, I am a parent too. I have 4 kids, which is kind of wild, but I do, and they keep me very busy. The 3 oldest are in a charter school here in Colorado. The youngest is still in preschool, and so I have the great joy of dealing with both the K-12 insanity and the preschool and universal preschool insanity. So I have had a lot of firsthand experience with that, but I think really the main thing for me is that I've spent most of my professional career in education policy and in politics generally. So I started out as a policy analyst here at Independence Institute. I did that for a lot of years. I wrote white papers. I did statistical analyses. I worked on court briefs. I went down to the legislature and attempted, usually unsuccessfully, to educate our friends down there into doing something. I did that for a long time. I loved it. I really enjoy how policy works and taking it apart. But eventually, after about the 100th meeting with the legislator where I said, here's my white paper. This is what I think you should do. Here are the numbers. Check out the appendix. And they would look at me and say, well, that's really cute, but that's just not the game that we play down here. And at the time, I wasn't able to lobby, right? I could just inform. Right. And I decided I didn't like that. So I started lobbying. I got into that game, first for Independence, then for a number of other folks. I worked my way up into a lot of government relations work related to school choice and other issues. And over the course of that time, have sort of been able to blend the policy side, the lobbying side, the political side into a career that these days I run my own firm. We work on issues all over the country, but education has always kind of been my primary thing because it's near and dear to my heart. And I've really been able to learn quite a bit in my travels about how these issues work, the similarities between states and arenas and political discussions, the cycle that we kind of see repeat all over the place, and therefore how folks can really get involved. Because when I first started, it wasn't a thing for people to be heavily involved in education. We were on the very front end of that. And now people are hungry to go out and get involved. And I think there's never been a time with more opportunity to do that if you just know what you're shooting at. And hopefully I can help fill that gap.
I agree. I think our students and our kids will thrive if parents are at the table when it comes to education policy. And I think it's on us to take that seat at the table. And in order to do that, you have to have a direction to go. But we absolutely can have an input. And in order to make a difference, we have to. So I think enough of letting, if you're not involved, you're at the mercy of those who are writing the policy. And I think we can 100% hopefully build a little influence and have you guys feel good about having a say in the process, because there's no reason to feel cut out, especially as a parent. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, if you're not at the table, then you're probably on the menu, right? So it makes sense to
true.
show up. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for the first episode here. Hopefully you have a little bit of an idea of where we're going and who we are. We will be back next time with our first policy discussion about something I'm sure that will be interesting to you. In the meantime, if you have show ideas, as Erin mentioned, please email us at info@learningcurveco.org. Again, learningcurveco.org. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here real soon.